expectation in professional sports, probably the biggest thing you've got to deal with. People, I guess, like you said, starting when I was like really young, everyone's like, oh, he's the young kid on the block. And now I'm a bit older, still classified young in the cricketing terms, but people expects you to do really well, take lots of wickets, score lots of runs. Coffee is something is one of my getaways from cricket, I guess, and it's a hobby of mine. I've got a coffee machine that I take on tour with me.
Hey guys, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Catch Ups in My Kitchen with me, Georgia Simmons, host of the podcast. This week we have another returning guest. We have Sam Curran back in the kitchen, and Sam actually came on the podcast on episode 1 and he's now back on for episode 120. So a bit of background context, Sam actually dates my cousin Izzy. So in the episode we do refer to Izzy, that is my cousin. And in this episode I really want to touch on different topics with Sam. In the first episode, if you haven't listened to it, we touch a lot on nutrition and food and kind of Sam's background and kind of nutrition and fitness. But in this episode, I wanted to touch on well-being from a different angle and talk about mental health, how Sam gets mentally ready, how he switches off, what that looks like, sleep in between games, and that kind of side of things. Because I think that's a huge part of being a professional sportsman is the mental side and all of that. So we touch on that, as well as going into a bit of detail about what he takes with him when he goes away for long periods of time. And we touch a lot on coffee and Sam's love for coffee. It's full of things you might not know about Sam. So it's quite an interesting episode. We also touch a bit on cricket. I'm not like a massive cricket person in terms of knowing everything, but I did touch on a few cricket questions as well. So it's a really great episode on the behind the scenes of Sam. I think you'll love it. I really enjoyed it. It was super fun to have him here in Mallorca for a quick fleeting visit, and it was great. So I really hope you enjoy. And as always, please keep supporting the podcast. I have loved recording episodes out here. It's been so nice to move the podcast to a different location. So please keep supporting us. And as always, have a lovely, lovely rest of your day. Sam, welcome back to the kitchen.
Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you back. So you're episode 1 and now you're episode 120, which is great.
No, yeah, that feels how long? 2 years ago? 3 years ago?
I actually checked before you arrived. It was 2 years ago, and I was like, that's actually quite crazy. So, for those who don't know you, firstly, get to know. Secondly, do you mind giving a little elevator pitch? Who you are, what you do?
Well, I'm a Surrey and England cricketer. So, played cricket for Surrey when I was since 17, and now 26. So, I've been playing quite a while, and now I guess going into playing for England and played quite a lot of cricket for England, which is obviously amazing. One of my dreams growing up. Hopefully I can continue doing that for many years to come. And I guess that's my simplest way of describing me. But cricket's my background.
Love it. Okay, we have a quick fire round, Mallorca edition. Now I know you don't know loads, so this is quite difficult for you. But firstly, sweet or savoury?
Sweet.
Favourite restaurant in Mallorca?
Ooh, probably be cappuccino down by the water.
Yeah, it's a good one. What's your favourite Mediterranean dish?
Favourite Mediterranean dish would probably be grilled vegetables, maybe a grilled chicken, anything grilled really, like my grill kind of pretty, people say it's plain and simple, but I guess.
I think that's Mediterranean, isn't it? It is quite plain and simple.
Yeah, I guess, but that's just me. Chicken's probably my go-to mostly.
Okay, nice. And if someone was travelling to Mallorca, what's the one thing that you would recommend that they do from what you've been doing out here?
Oh, well, there's loads to do, I guess. I know you like going on your runs and stuff like that. There's some amazing runs, I guess. My girlfriend's dad loves cycling, so he does a lot of cycling out here, which is pretty cool. I got into cycling when I was in COVID, but I haven't done much since.
It's a cool way to see the island and see where you are.
And obviously great beaches, great water, and getting on the boats and stuff like that, I guess.
Love it. So I want to start by, did you always want to go into cricket? Was that always the plan? Or do you have a moment where you're like, that was then your decision, like actually cricket is going to be what I do full time?
I think it was. I think 2 older brothers, Tom and Ben, and my dad who played cricket as well. So I guess when I grew up in Zimbabwe growing up, we had a big garden. My dad built us like a cricket net in the garden and stuff like that. So having two older brothers, I think any day we woke up on a weekend and school finishes, we straight down playing against each other. But I think I guess I played all sports from, I guess, hockey, tennis, cricket, all that kind of stuff through to about 14 years old. And then because of like the injuries and stuff like that rugby, I guess, can do to you, I kind of decided that cricket was always going to be the one I loved and the one I grew up doing. So I guess, it kicked on from there, luckily, and signed my first contract at 17. So I was still at school, so I had to do it.
That is crazy. So playing cricket so young or getting onto the scene so young, do you kind of feel a pressure now because you've been doing it for so long? Do you feel any pressure at all?
I think so. I think expectation in professional sports is probably the biggest thing you've got to deal with. People, I guess, like you said, starting when I was like really young, everyone's like, oh, he's the young kid on the block. And I guess now I'm a bit older, still classified young in the cricketing terms, but people expects you to do really well, take lots of wickets, score lots of runs. And I think that's something you learn. There's more days of failure than good days in cricket, I guess. So, most sports, I think you have more bad days than good days. So I think you just learn that over time. Everyone deals with it differently. I like to get away from cricket, kind of play golf with my mates and go to nice restaurants, just kind of forget about your day job when you can, because I spend a lot of time away on tour and stuff like that. So when you get time off, make the most of it.
100%. That was actually one of my questions, is like, how do you deal with it mentally? Because I feel like with sport and playing professional sport, the mental side of it is like probably half of it, especially with cricket, because I feel like obviously the games go over multiple days.
Yeah.
How do you like deal with it mentally when you are in it, and then how do you deal with it mentally when you have time off? Obviously you mentioned like you switch off, but is there anything else?
I think professional sport, once you get to that level, like feel like everything's more on the mental side of the game. I feel like you've done all your training, you've done all your kind of, I guess, your research and stuff. It's kind of, well, not your research, I guess you've done all your hard work to get there, and it's to stay there. It's about containing that, bringing down that skill and your ability to kind of dealing with tough situations, 25,000 people watching you. And I guess that's just, you can only learn that by playing in front of those scenarios. So golf's definitely my biggest getaway, I'd say, in terms of get away with my mates. Lots of cricketers, kind of that hand-eye coordination and stuff like that becomes quite similar. I guess that's just the way in which I get away and go away. Nice restaurants, like I said, living in London, there's so many nice options, which is great. Anything like similar to that, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And obviously, like being in the public eye as well, there's obviously like things you have to deal with. How do you deal with that mentally as well? Like, how do you find that? Do you sometimes feel like you need to just like, I know, like compartmentalize it in your head, or like, how is that? Because I think sometimes it's often overlooked. Like when you are in the public eye, you probably can't walk around without sometimes people speaking to you or asking questions. And how do you kind of deal with that?
I guess that's one of the biggest challenges in a way, as well as dealing with, I guess that comes with the territory of playing in big crowds. People start recognizing you and stuff like that. Specifically, I play a lot of cricket in India, so India is probably my biggest fan base. It sounds quite weird, but cricket's really big over in India, kind of compared to the Premier League in England, where there's a lot of people around and coming to the ground and you leave the hotel asking for lots of selfies and stuff like that. Living in England is probably not as bad, but you still get the odd people. I kind of look back when I was a kid and I saw like really, I guess, big cricket stars. I was always running up to them wanting a signature and a photo. And at our games, we get loads of kids, and that's what it's all about. We're trying to, I guess, inspire younger kids to play cricket, and boys and girls and stuff like that. It's great. So I guess it's a nice part, but at the same time, it takes a bit of adjusting if you do get recognized in a restaurant or something like that. I guess I like to try and be as nice as possible, and you want to be a nice guy, don't you?
Yeah, 100%. I always feel like, God, like it's that like quick moment for them, that encounter, and for you, you're like, oh my God, I want to like obviously give off like the right impression.
Well, I guess when I put myself in their shoes, more kids for sake, when I go down to the stadium, or when my dad used to play and he was playing with some big players, I'd first think, can I have a shirt? Can I have your cap? Or like kind of, because that's what you dream of, is being one of them. And to be able to say I'm now playing for England, stuff like that's pretty cool. So anytime a kid comes over, even an adult who likes cricket and is a fan, I guess just try and be as nice as possible and make them happy.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to touch on sleep, because obviously everyone's talking about sleep at the moment. And I was kind of thinking, like, for you when you're playing, especially as I mentioned, like with games that kind of go on through like multiple days. How do you switch off? Because obviously some games will go on quite late, then you might have adrenaline, then you kind of got to try and like wind down. Do you have any way that you try and wind down before going to sleep to then recover for the next day?
Yeah, it's tricky. I think because when you play in such big stadiums, noise, music, crowds, I guess I find it quite difficult to go to sleep straight away when I get back. I guess that's just maybe the adrenaline. You kind of say your game finishes at 8, 9 p.m. You kind of get home probably 10, and then you kind of get into bed and you're like, do you still think of the game, how it went? Did you win? Did you lose? Did you play well? Stuff like that. But I generally am a pretty good sleeper in terms of I do find it quite easy to get to sleep. I don't really have any routines that I go through, but the hardest part is when, I guess, trying to get to sleep after like a high pressure game and your mind's still ticking and stuff like that. So, but in general, I'd say I'm pretty good sleeper. I don't have too many demons.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. And so I want to touch on like when you do go away and like travel and like go to India, for example, is there anything that you take with you? Because obviously you're gone for quite long periods of time and everyone has their like home comforts or something that they take with them to kind of like, I don't know, entertain them or food wise, or like, is there anything that you take with you?
Yeah, well, I guess we spend so much time in hotels and stuff like that. Coffee is something is one of my getaways from cricket, I guess, and it's a hobby of mine and stuff like that. So I've got a coffee machine that I take on tour with me.
This episode is sponsored by Zuki. If, like me, you're interested in supplements and love to feel your best, then you need to try Zuki's range of liposomal supplements. They have been clinically proven to provide 4 times the amount of absorption compared to conventional supplements, which means you feel the benefits faster. They also come in a delicious single-serve sachet, which means you can look forward to taking your supplements every day. My current favourite is vitamin B12, which tastes just like strawberry. If you're interested in trying Zuki, they have given all catch-up listeners a chance to receive a free taster pack. This includes vitamin C, D, B12, collagen, and turmeric. To receive your free pack, click the link in the show notes. Thank you so much, Zuki, for sponsoring the podcast. Now let's get back to the episode. Now I love this. Right, how big is a coffee machine and how are we getting it to India? Like, I need the details because this is crazy.
No, it's like a big. It was actually my oldest brother, Tom, who kind of started it. He kind of really liked his coffee, that kind of stuff, and then like ordered this big box with like loads of foam in. So it's like pretty big. It's like you'd fit a lot of clothes for a holiday, stuff like that. And then he kind of carved out the perfect shape. It's a Sage machine where it's kind of like the perfect angles and stuff like that. And it just sits there perfectly. Lock it up, chuck it under the plane and off you go. And it's a big kind of social thing for us on tour as players when we have our days off. Like in India, we can't really leave the hotel too much just in terms of, I guess, safety and kind of it's just a different lifestyle of, like I said, the fans kind of really want to see you. You go to restaurants, but it's kind of, we set up in the team with a big coffee machine who can do the best latte art and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of like a competition now. I
love that. And do you have, well, actually, I was about to say, do you have a favourite bean? But you now have your own coffee company. So do you want to touch on Naked Grounds? Because this is really cool. Yeah, so Naked Ground first started, actually my oldest brother, Tom, again, he kind of started probably 2-3 years ago. It's a cafe in Ibiza where it started. And I've actually got involved now probably the last year, which is really exciting. It's a kind of, he's turning it more into, I guess, a lifestyle brand as well. So we've got a gym started in Cardiff, which is called the Naked Ground Health Club, which is really cool as well. And then, and most of it's online now. So all the different beans of kind of like the Londres bean, the like Balearic blends as well. So stuff like that, matcha tea, there's loads of different things, I guess, which is really exciting. Tom being a massive coffee lover, and it was a no-brainer to kind of get involved with him, and it's just gone live online now as well, so it's kind of the start of an exciting new journey for us. And cool. It's kind of like at all the stadiums now we've got like coffee vans around the grounds at the Oval, Lords, stuff like that, which is really cool, and just getting the beans out there. And I guess there's loads of clothing and stuff that's going to start coming out and stuff, caps and beachwear and everything. It's going to be it's such a cool thing that Tom, my oldest brother, and my family in general, we love kind of the beaches and the holiday vibes of
nice cafes, nice breakfast spots. So the one in Ibiza is the flagship place where it's like you sit down, have nice meal, drinks, coffees. So really exciting.
That's so cool. I need to try some.
I know, I'll get some. I need to send some around to you.
Yeah, definitely. And what's so special about the beans? Like, have you like sourced them from a certain place? Like, what makes Naked Ground like stand out, I guess?
Yeah, well, I guess being a brand like it is. It's Tom first started when he went to Ibiza. It was kind of that whole lifestyle of having a cafe right on the beach. I'm a big brunch person. He's a big brunch person. I guess it's the different type of blends is probably the one that stands out as well. Got different, like obviously the Lundberg blend and the Balearic blend, which is, I guess I'm not too glued into like the details of which, but I guess it's just, let's be honest, good coffees, you got to have good coffee, and it's really good coffee. And it's also branching from like all to the teas and kind of all the other avenues that some people don't actually always like coffee. There's also decaf coffee as well. So kind of covering all those bases, which people do in their different lifestyles. So I guess, it's coffee's a habit really for me, and it's a routine of even before games and stuff like that. It's really exciting. Everyone loves. I think Tom kind of came about it when he was in Australia. He spent a lot of time in Australia, and he kind of thinks Australia's got the best coffee in the world.
I have to agree.
And have you been? You've been to Australia, yeah.
And the coffee there is insane.
Yeah, and he was like, "There's definitely not this coffee in England," kind of type vibe. So, I guess your standard Starbucks Costas is your kind of. That's where people go to like drive-throughs and stuff. But I've always been a person who loves going down to your kind of niche coffee shops and making sure the coffee tastes really good, the milk as well. And lots of people have different types of milks for their coffee. And I guess it's just an addictive thing that we've started, and hopefully it keeps growing and growing.
So cool. I love it. So I want to touch on supplements. And I was like fascinated by this because I was speaking to Izzy a bit before about like different supplements that you might take, and she kind of highlighted that actually this is something that you're really, really wary of, and like because of the whole drug testing thing, you have to be really, really careful.
Yeah.
So can we touch on this? What do you avoid? What are you wary of? Let's kind of get into this.
Yeah, well, I think it's professional sport again is so you see a lot of people get in trouble in terms of, I guess, cutting corners with taking supplements, and they're not allowed to enhance performance in a way, I guess. But so we get tested, urine test, hair testing, stuff like that, probably weekly. In terms of, it's quite random in terms of when they can do it. They can pop up to your house. You can kind of like they come to our games, and as soon as you come off the pitch, there'll be someone who kind of follow you and watch you and kind of say, just let you know you'll be doing a test today, a sample for us and stuff like that. So I guess that's in a way shows how on it they are, and on it we have to be. So it's terms of like the supplements we have to do. Every supplement we kind of take has to be kind of tested in terms of we have obviously sports strength and conditioning people and medical staff, nutritionists within our groups and within our teams. So I guess anytime I go down to like a local shop, I'd always try and send a photo to like the nutritionist, and just to make sure I can have that, because obviously there's so many different type of things that are in, I guess, powders and all the different brands. There's so many brands constantly bringing out products, and I guess there's loads of different things like CBD oil and all this kind of stuff that people obviously like to take, but at the same time we can't hugely take that. So we can do certain type of things, but they've just got to be tested through like Sport England and stuff, kind of making sure that we do the right things, because it's weird stuff. Like even when you go to a nice steak restaurant and all this kind of stuff, there's some steaks that have kind of like got the wrong, like it's very tough to kind of come across those, but they get kind of tested with those animals and like all that kind of stuff. It's such niche, more like in the protein powder and drinks and protein shakes and stuff like that, is where people can get it wrong. And yeah, thankfully we got such great support around us. It's just such a topic. Like there's so many, like you said, like Izzy sometimes brings home kind of like products and she's kind of like, oh, these are amazing. But I'm also like, yeah, I'd love to try it. But she's always very aware that I got to be careful. So yeah, I guess it's just got to be very nice and sharp on it.
That's really fascinating. Like I didn't, never even thought of that. So would certain drugs come up? Like for example, Izzy mentioned you can't have like Nurofen.
Yeah, I think.
So that's crazy. Like,
yeah, I think it's more. There's like loads of. That's the thing. You have like paracetamol, like all your standard kind of stuff you can take, but then there'll be like, I guess I don't really know off the top of my head what they're called, but some Nurofen, there's different type Nurofen Plus, like different type of things. I don't know the exact details. That's why we were very lucky. We've got such good guidance. So the people that actually know, we get sent a list before every season of kind of the banned substances. And I guess I'm very careful in terms of that. I've never kind of take the risk of trying to have something that you're not allowed. I guess that's just standard, but it's more just in terms of, I guess, recreational drug use, all that kind of stuff of, we constantly monitored for all these stuff that anyway that enhances our performance, and we try to get an unfair advantage on our peers is probably
crazy.
Yeah,
so
crazy.
What protein powder do you take, or do you use a protein powder?
Not hugely. Well, I don't know if you've heard of Kinetica. Kinetica is kind of like a sport brand that I'm partnered with personally, but the kind of team get just loads of different, I wouldn't know many of them off the top of my head, but it's just kind of like different types of whey proteins, all that kind of stuff that is obviously all tested by the people above. And because when we come off the pitch, we always have kind of like shakes all made for us to make sure that the guys are refueling and stuff like that after a long day of work. So yeah, it's just, we're obviously very lucky. And the hard part, if you're not given the right guidance and teaching on that stuff, that's when players get into trouble. And in England, we're quite lucky that we got such a great support base above us that actually helps us. Whereas nutritionists, it's people that know what they're doing rather than us just walking down to kind of Tesco's or something and just picking some random prime drink or something. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And what does a typical like game day breakfast look like for you? I'm fascinated by this because I'm like, right, it's like long day ahead.
Yeah.
What is Sam typically eating before you go out?
I'd say breakfast my biggest meal in terms of, I'm a big breakfast person, probably kind of, I guess sometimes like a yogurt bowl, kind of loads of different stuff. Izzy tends to be the one who kind of makes those kind of, she could be putting loads of different, I guess, yogurt, fruits, bananas, strawberries, honey, all your good stuff. And then poached eggs, avocado on toast is probably my everyday go-to, kind of 3 eggs or kind of avocado on toast. So that's probably my normal go-to. And then throughout the day, I like to have like bananas and lunch. So we kind of play from like 11 till 1:30. That's kind of like our morning session. And then we'll have lunch breaks. So guys will have some guys don't like to eat during a game. They'll probably have like a protein shake, or I guess you have like energy gels we take, which kind of are really good to kind of keep those, because there's nothing worse than I find having like a really full stomach to kind of have to run around or feeling quite bloated or kind of, I guess, like it's just not gone down. It's kind of like sitting there. So it's kind of, everyone's very different. Some guys don't eat because of the nerves. They feel like they can't fuel it. You have some guys who actually vomit during games, kind of like because of their nerves and stuff like that, which is quite weird. But thankfully, I'm not one of them.
Yeah, oh God, I didn't even like think about the fact that you then have to like obviously stop. But like, what would you eat? You're very aware you're about to go back out. Yeah, there's a lot on that. So obviously, sometimes you have to compete with your brother. How's that? Because I think that's quite an interesting dynamic where some moments like you're both kind of maybe playing together or competing against each other. How do you find that?
To be fair, I think when I first started at 17, Tom was kind of in the Surrey team, and then I kind of came in as the younger brother, and we were playing together a lot in Surrey. We're always in the same team, always kind of picked together, and which was fine. Then we started to play for England. He started first, and I kind of started. And that's when it got quite like competitive in terms we started like competing for the same spot. And it didn't get awkward, but I think because we always want the best for each other. And I think as we've got older, that's definitely shown how, I guess, family will always become before everything else in terms of, I guess, we're so competitive at the same time. If you're watching your brother play for England and it's not you, you'll always be proud. And I think that's the older you get, the more, I guess, understanding you get. We play loads together. We're still very competitive off the cricket field, on the golf course, on, I guess, board games, loads of different type of things. And like, I guess it's just a competitive nature of brothers and siblings. And I guess the rivalry will always be there. But thankfully, we play a lot together. So we always want the best for each other. We play a lot of I guess, teams together. And in India a couple of years ago, we actually played against each other, which was quite a weird one where I got one up on him. But it's my bragging rights on him. So.
Oh my gosh, that is crazy actually when you're playing against each other. Like that's also quite
That's fun. When we didn't let my mum come down to that game. We said she would get too nervous. So I guess that's where it's family. I guess that's what we were born to do and compete. And thankfully it's been very amazing.
No, for sure. But I can imagine it sometimes. I guess now you're maybe more used to it. You kind of like compartmentalize it, and you're like, this is work, and this is like family time. Like,
I think the biggest thing is because we both kind of playing at that level, you learn off each other. It's kind of like he's seen me since I was 5, and if I'm doing obviously that young, you kind of doing everything, but maybe if something creeps into my game, he thinks that I shouldn't be doing, or he feels like there's a technique I'm doing wrong because he's seen what I do well. It's quite a nice balance, and I see the same with him. If he starts creeping in bad habits, I can kind of say, hey, this has crept in over the last few weeks. I just thought I'd let you know. So whereas other players, if you kind of not family or not that close, you kind of might just par them off. So it's kind of like, it's more of a trust thing, I guess.
That's really nice. You can kind of be like each other's kind of mentor-ish.
Yeah.
That's really nice. So what would you say your kind of goal aims are going forward? Like if this is like, so you're now like 26, how do you see the career going in the future? Like what are your kind of goals and aims?
Yeah, it's obviously interesting. I guess England will always be kind of playing for England such a dream since I was very young, and thankfully I'm doing that and kind of would love to play as many games as I can for England, winning World Cups. And the cricket's changing obviously very quickly with all the different tournaments around the world, so I'd love to win the Indian Premier League a few times as well, being there a lot. And I guess at the end of your career you get defined on trophies and tournaments and I guess success in that regard. I'm a big team person in terms of I love winning with my mates, and kind of rather than individual goals, I'd always kind of want to win with Surrey, with England, with all the franchise teams that I play for. And I think probably just being remembered for being a great team player and stuff like that. So I guess I've still got a very long way to go in terms of until I retire, but I want to be remembered as someone who won games for his team and just being a good bloke, I guess.
Amazing. Because I think when you start so young, like sometimes I feel like, you know, your goals have change and like where you're aiming is going to change. But yeah, I guess like trying to do it for as long as possible and do as well as you can throughout the whole experience is like, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's what it is. But I feel like I've played for a long time, but I've kind of only 26, which is great. But I guess I just keep going for as long as I can.
I love it. So I actually have some cricket questions to kind of finish off this, which you'd be quite surprised about, because I know as a family, we're not like the biggest cricket. Like I do kind of feel for you because we all love cricket and we now watch it way more than we did before. But I'm not like hugely like clued up in the whole cricket world, but I do have some cricket questions for you that I've been asked to ask by a friend.
Yeah.
So I've been asked to ask, how do you feel about playing Test cricket again?
Yeah, obviously I'd love to play Test cricket again. I think I haven't played for 3 years now, so I guess having played so much T20 cricket in the last few years, I guess that's the path I've been on for a while. But I think if the opportunity came, I'd definitely go for it. And I played Test cricket when I was very young, and I feel like I'm definitely a better player than when I last played. So I guess that opportunity might come and might not. But I guess it's something I'd like to do. But at the same time, got to keep working hard and keep going.
Okay, I love it. And what is Ben Stokes like as a captain?
Yeah, he's good. I think obviously a legend of the game and someone I played a lot of cricket with growing up. Well, not growing up, but my early years of playing with England. So yeah, he's captaining England now. So yeah, great captain, great player, and definitely someone who, being an all-rounder, is someone I've always kind of liked to watch and see what he does.
Love it. And the last cricket question is, who would you say is like the next big player? Like out of like people that you're looking at, is there anyone that's kind of like coming through the game that you're like, yeah, he could be really great?
At the moment, I'd probably say a young guy, Jamie Smith at Surrey, is really good player. He's just started playing with England. He's just made his debut. I think he's a fantastic player and someone I've played a lot with as well. So I'm hoping he'll turn out to be the player I think he will be, and he's definitely started on the right track.
Okay, love it. So we have 2 kind of foodie questions to finish off, because obviously this is like food, health, wellness.
Yeah.
I feel like we've like jumped around a bit because I was like really interested to hear more about, like, last time you came on we spoke a lot about food.
Yeah.
But I wanted to hear more about like the mental side, sleep, like, because that's also a huge part of wellness. But my last question is going to be, what's your last meal? But before that, I want to know also, like, what is your absolute foods you hate?
Okay. Well, foods, I'll start with the ones I hate first, and then we finish on a good note.
Yeah.
Beetroot.
Right.
Don't know why. I think that's something I've, from a very young age, just despised. As soon as I see it, I can just no.
It's a no.
It's no.
It's a no.
Peanut butter, 100%. It's gotta be the worst thing I've ever. Which I think it's the smell that puts me off.
I love this. It's hilarious. I love it because Izzy is like so peanut butter. Like, she loves it, and you're like, absolutely no. So
yeah. Those are probably the two.
If she's there putting peanut butter on her breakfast and you just like, that's just disgusting.
Yeah, it's rank. The smell is kind of, I don't go near her.
I love it. Okay, last meal. Starter, main course, dessert. What would it be?
Starter would be, I'd say calamari, or like a really nice calamari would be starter. A main would be a really good like chicken burger or something like that, really with chips,
Normal
good
fries
vegetables.
or sweet potato fries?
Normal fries. If it's my last meal, I'm going normal fries. Dessert, definitely sticky toffee pudding.
Nice.
Yeah. It's obviously not that healthy, but I guess...
It's your last meal.
Yeah,
you can be as unhealthy as you want.
With a nice beer.
Nice beer. I was going to say, what would be your go-to drink?
Go-to drink for there would probably be maybe just like a Peroni or something like that.
Nice.
Just kind of...
Love it.
Yeah.
Sam, thank you so much for coming back to the kitchen. I loved it. Thank you for sharing all your little health, wellnessy bits. Because I feel like with cricket, you're moving around a lot. You obviously have a lot of help in the kitchen, but like with nutrition as well. But I think it is fascinating to hear like how you deal with the stress of being on the pitch and deal with nutrition and health, and all of that is fascinating. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, G. Thank you very much.